Hey, greetings everyone. Glenn Kellaway from the basement. It is Friday around lunchtime. Yesterday I was on the Steve Hoffman forums and there was a thread that I found interesting. It was the top 20 albums of the century. Name your top 20. I was going to write them all out and I thought, that's a good video idea. So I started tackling. I've been thinking about it all night last night, thinking about it this morning, started tackling it this morning. It's taken me freaking hours. Like, I can't believe, I don't know if I've spent this much time coming up with a video and trying to figure it out. And I know I probably left some cool albums off, but I did my best. So we're going to count down from 20 to number 1, albums released from 2000 to 2022. I left out 2023 because I want to do a best of 2023 on its own, which I do every year and a lot of people do. So let's get started. Number 20, I am going with David Bowie. David came out with this album called The Next Day in 2013. If I recall, it came out kind of unexpectedly and was just there, and really solid album. Has this guy ever made a bad album? And then shortly after that, he, revealed he had cancer, and then we had got Black Star, which is another beautiful record. David Bowie, the genius, David Bowie. This is a freaking great album. Love it. Number 20. Number 19, my favorite of all time, Bob Dylan, Love and Theft. Fantastic album. All the way through, I love this album. Mississippi's a great song. Summer Days is great. One of my favorite Dylan songs for Charlie Patton called High Water, which was originally an old blues song that he reinterpreted. Sugar Baby, Cry a While. I mean, Poor Boy. This is a really, really solid album from Bob from 2001. I believe this album is 22 years old now. Okay, next we're going with jazz. I love this album. It was recommended to me when it first came out. This guy was very edgy. He was hanging out with like Kendrick Lamar and those kind of people. And he came up with this genius of an album, and I love the cover. One of my favorite covers of all time. The album's called The Epic. This is an album that I really want on vinyl and have just never pulled the trigger on it because I got the CD and the album's like 50, 60 bucks, and it's always something else to spend money on. But this is a fantastic album. It was released in 2015. I got to see him on this tour at the Danforth Music Hall in Toronto. It was a pretty small venue. It was a great show. This is a freaking amazing album. Heavy on the saxophone. Sometimes he gets real crazy with that screaming sax, like Coltrane, but sometimes very melodic and beautiful. It's just all over the place, but every song is a gem. It's a great, great record. There are a couple of vocals on it, but overall, it is a instrumental album, and just so friggin' good, man. I'm telling you, if you're into jazz, you haven't heard this album, I keep asking my friend John at Music Talk with John to listen to this. I don't know if he has yet, but it's classic. One of my favorite jazz albums. Number 17, the great Lucinda Williams. This Car Wheels on a Gravel Road is Lucinda's big album. I mean, it is just fantastic. This album is right up there with it as far as I'm concerned. Very folky, very moody. Does a couple of covers here. Does a cover of Factory, the Bruce Springsteen song off of Darkness on the Edge of Town, I think. And really beautiful album. Ghost of Highway 20. Even that song is just so haunting and beautiful. It's a great album from Lucinda. Absolutely love it. It was released in 2016. Next. Boy, this woman came out of nowhere and put out this great soulful kind of R&B, back to the kind of a flashback to the 60s. Amy Winehouse with Back to Black. I mean, what a great album. There's not a bad song on this album. So sad she died so young. would have loved to have seen what she would have been capable of and then come up with for us. But this is a great, great record from Amy Winehouse from 2006. Man, that's a long time ago. Okay, next. You know I'm a bluegrass guy. You know I play a banjo, and you know one of my heroes in life is Bela Fleck, musical genius that he is. Bela came out with this album in 2021, an instrumental album called My Bluegrass Heart, which is absolutely fantastic. It goes from bluegrass to newgrass, a bit of jazz, a bit of everything influenced in it, with some great guest stars like Sam Bush and David Grisman, Billy Strings and Jerry Douglas, and Stuart Duncan and Brian Sutton. If you're into any acoustic music, you know these people. Two more great banjo players, Tony Trischka and Noam Pakilny. Who else? Edgar Meyer, the incredible bass player. Sam Bush. Chris Stiley from Nickel Creek and his own albums. Molly Tuttle. Wow, just a fantastic, fantastic album from Bela Fleck. That was released in 2021. Absolutely frigging love that album. Okay, what came after Bela? Now we're at number 14. This is an album that where'd it go? There. What happened to it? There it is. This is an album I gave Larry Graves to listen to and review on our CD exchange, and he absolutely hated every second of it. And I think it's just brilliant. Kurt Vile, Watch My Moves. It is quirky. It is as laid back as you can frickin' get. It came out in 2022. It was my album of the year last year. And one of the commenters made a comment I'll never forget, because I said, man, you feel like you just want to lay back and smoke a big fat doobie when you're listening to this album. And he says, it does everything but smoke the joint for you, this album. Like, I mean, it really has that mood, man. It's so good. The lyrics are so mundane. But, man, if you just want to sit back and chill and listen to something quirky, this is a great frickin' record. Oh, that is number 14. Number 13, I'm a big Steve Earle fan. And in 2007, he came out with my favorite Steve Earle album. And Steve Earle has a lot of frickin' great albums. But Washington Square Serenade, this is an album he put out after he moved to New York City. This is an album, songs written about the streets in New York, areas of New York, the people of New York. There's a song called City of Immigrants. There's some, Oxycontin Blues. It's a real edgy. There's a song called Satellite Radio. It is like the edgiest frickin' album, man. If you don't let this scare you. If you're not a country music fan, you should really check this album out. It's really good. Washington Square Serenade, Steve Earle. Number 12. Mike Campbell, one of my favorite guitar players. This man does not get enough love for as good a guitar player he is. His latest project, which has been going on now because this album came out in 2020, The Dirty Knobs, great album, classic kind of blues, Americana, what else? I mean, just a frickin' amazing, amazing record this turned out to be. I absolutely love it. It's just... He kind of has the Tom Petty-ish voice, too. So if you haven't checked out the Dirty Knobs, check them out. Okay, number 11. This is an album that Sam St. John turned me on to last year, and it's absolutely brilliant. It's one of those albums to me that has a mood to it, like similar to, Van Morrison's Astral Weeks and Gene Clark's No Other, and albums like that I'm not talking musically similar. I'm just talking they have an atmosphere about them that goes throughout the record that really stands out. And this album is the same. And coincidentally, it was produced by Mike Campbell, who we just talked about. Way Out West. Check out this album again. You don't be afraid thinking country music. It's it's got some instrumentals on it, great guitar playing, great songs, real good storytelling, fantastic record. I'll always appreciate Sam for turning me on to this. Way Out West, Marty Stuart is my number 11. Came out in 2017, that album. Okay, we're into the top 10. This album was recommended to me originally by two people, Steve Carlson and Norman Maslov. They both talked about it when it came out, and it seemed right up my alley, and I got it, and I freaking loved it. It is The Third Mind. This is a project by Dave Albin, who has his own solo albums, plus was in the Blasters. Great guitar player. This is an album, it's a tribute to 60s, maybe not, even like just kind of psychedelic guitar. It starts off with a song from one of my favorite albums of all time now, is Alice Coltrane's Journey from Sachin Donata, and it starts off with that title song as an instrumental, which is an instrumental. The song The Dolphins, which is a beautiful song. Does a great version of Morning Dew, which the Grateful Dead always did a great job in their sets. Then a great version of East West, the Paul Butterfield song. I mean, it's just, if you like guitar, man, you gotta hear this album, The Third Mind. They've just released a second Third Mind album. I haven't got it yet, and I believe it's out now, but this came out in 2020. Just a fantastic record. If you like guitars, listen to this. You'll thank me later. Number 9, a band I got into quite a few years ago. They reminded me of Jackson Browne quite a bit, and the albums I got from them, I really always liked like 3 or 4 songs, and then I got kind of bored. I don't know why, but they put out this album in 2022, and it is one of my favorite albums. It gets played all the time since I got it a year or so ago, and it's definitely in my top 10. I just love this freaking album. I've turned other people onto. My nephew Jack bought a copy of it. I know my buddy Rob at Northern Revolutions, this isn't his favorite Dawes album, and he's a Dawes fan, but it is mine. Misadventures of Doom Scroller. Give this album a listen. It is fantastic. It's kind of power pop, kind of Jackson Brownish. And but what they've done is they've extended the songs and come up with some great instrumental passages, some great guitar work and beautiful harmonies. The gentleman who is the head guy of this band, T.Z. Goldsmith, I think it is. He does the primary vocals, plays guitar, and I think he's the chief songwriter, but just really brilliant songwriter and a really solid album from start to finish. Misadventures of Doom Scroller by Dawes. Great frickin' album. Another one I want to get on vinyl that I don't have. Okay, number 8. Tom Waits' last album. I think it's frickin' awesome. I love this album. And it's called Bad As Me. Last Leaf on the Tree, which was done with Keith Richards, a beautiful song. The song Bad As Me, Chicago, Raised Right Men. All Hell Broke Loose is a song about, it's kind of a song about being in the army and going deaf from the guns blazing, and really crazy song, sung to like a Marine marching beat. It's really neat. But anyway, I love this album. I wish Tom would give us one more, but this is what we got for the last album from Tom Waits. It's my number 8 album of the century, and friggin' love it. Number 7, Paul Simon. Now, Paul Simon just put an album out this year, so you know I'm going to be talking about that in another video coming up a month from now. But this album that he put out in 2011 is just fantastic from start to finish. I think one of his best solo works, and it's called So Beautiful, So What. This is a freaking great album, and it sounds amazing too. Another one that I should have on vinyl. Just a beautiful album. A song called Dazzling Views, gorgeous. Dazzling Blue, I'm sorry. The song So Beautiful, So What. It has a bit of world music feel to it, the album, plus some just folky stuff and pop stuff and everything all over the place, but every song is freaking awesome. So Beautiful, So What, Paul Simon, great album. My number 7 album. My number 6 album is a guy I really just started listening to this year. I was aware of and kind of listened a little bit and knew he was around and everything, but until I started buying these albums, I've just become a super fan. And his name is Billy Strings. This album's called Home. Another album that gets played constantly, like almost daily in my house. This man is a friggin' great guitar player. It's bluegrassy, but he's taken it a step out of that realm, and he's filling stadiums and pretty big theaters, and kind of bringing like a rock and roll attitude to bluegrass music, and just an incredible guitar player and vocalist. But this album, Home, is absolutely incredible. Again, I challenge you, don't let the word bluegrass scare you. Give this album a listen. There's some great songs on here. Highly recommend a song called Away from the Mire. Where is it? Yeah, Away from the Mire. It's kind of a bit psychedelic in a way, I guess. But the whole album's great. Excellent album. My number 6 album of the century. Number 5, another woman who came out and just blew everybody away in 2002. This album has stood the test of time. Some people think she's a snooze fest. I don't. I love her vocals. Second favorite female vocalist behind Janis Joplin. It's Norah Jones. Come Away With Me. Absolutely incredible record. I love this album. It's another record that has a lot of atmosphere. Sorry, I just banged on my headphones. It's another album that has a lot of atmosphere and just a great record that just catapulted her to superstardom. And she hasn't let us down. She's put out some great music, and I'm a huge fan. Norah Jones. Number 5, Come Away With Me. Number 4, my favorite current band, I would say, and that's the Tedeschi Trucks Band. Last year, they put out this series of albums that are all part of the same package. It's called I Am the Moon. There was 4 releases over a period of 4 months they came out, so I consider them just one album, really. And I Am the Moon, there's The Fall, number 3, The Crescent, number 1, Farewell, number 4, Ascension, number 2. My favorite of these is I Am the Moon, number 1, Crescent. But they're all really good. I mean, this band is so incredible. I got to see them this summer. They're amazing live. And if you haven't heard these albums, check them out. I Am the Moon, fantastic stuff. Susan Tedeschi's great vocals. Derek Truck's an incredible guitar player. And their band is just freaking out of this world. Great albums from Tedeschi Trucks. Haven't stopped playing those either. Number 4. Number 3, I love this frickin' woman. She might be my 3rd favorite singer of all time. I discovered her in sometime around probably 2015, something like that. And with this album called Somewhere Else, Lydia Loveless. I just love this album. It's very, it's alt punk country, I call it. Art, kind of rock too. I mean, it's jangly guitars and great vocals and quirky, really good lyrics, sometimes kind of filthy, but wow, what a great frickin' record this is. Lydia Loveless, I just love her to death. She's amazing. This came out in 2014, and it is an album, again, where I just constantly play it. This is so hard to find on vinyl. I have all of her albums on vinyl except for this one. Number 2 and number 1. You know, I'm a huge Dylan fan. Look at the poster behind me. I mean, the man is just the greatest of all time. And he put out an album in 2020 that, if I was doing my Dylan ranking albums, would be in my top 10 out of, close to 50 albums. Rough and Rowdy Ways. Another one. I do have this on vinyl and on CD. Just saw him do the tour a few weeks ago. I just freaking love this album. Every track is fantastic. I mean, Bob at 80 years old putting out this great record. I mean, it's just, I can't say enough good things about it. It's incredible. My number one. So the other day we did our live chat on Wednesday night, and we were talking about reissues and what makes a good reissue, bad reissue. And I discovered this performer, artist, through the reissue campaign he did with Jethro Tull and Yes, and King Crimson was the one that really brought to my attention. I see the name Steven Wilson. So I didn't buy a Steven Wilson album until 2015. I'm in a record store and I saw this album called Hand Cannot Erase on the shelf. And I thought, I'm going to get my first Steven Wilson album. I came home and listened to this, and the first time I listened to it, it scared the crap out of me. It starts off like kind of like piano, acoustic guitar, really, just nice ambient almost sound, and then all of a sudden, like Rush takes over the album. That's what it was like, and I jumped. I remember jumping out of my seat, and then listened to the album, and it was like that all the way through. Sometimes I went, "This is beautiful," and then I'd be going, "Whoa, what the hell? That's kind of intense." And then I started following the story because it's a concept album, and then the more I listened to it, the more I realized how dynamic it was, and how beautiful it was, and how incredible it arranged and mixed, and everything else it was. Absolutely my favorite album of the century. As a matter of fact, this album from 2015 is on my top 10 list of all-time favorite albums. It's absolutely incredible. I can't say enough about this album. Mind-blowing to me. Absolutely frigging genius. And that's my number one, Steven Wilson's Hand Cannot Erase. That's my top 10 or top 20 of the century. Everyone have a good day. We'll talk soon. Take care. Give me some thumbs. Subscribe if you have not done so. Appreciate your support.